Revelation chapter 20 is about the final victory of the people of God over sin and death. These 15 verses cover the imprisonment of the devil for 1,000 years, the judgment of the unrighteous by the redeemed who formed the government of God, the White Throne Judgement of all humans, the great battle of Armageddon, and the final destruction of the devil who deceived the world, along with the beast and false prophet.
And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit, and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil, and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. And cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that he must be loosed a little season. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus, and for the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads, or in their hands. And they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years. But the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection. Blessed and holy is he that hath part in the first resurrection. On such the second death hath no power, but they shall be priests of God and of Christ, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth, and compassed the camp of the saints about, and the beloved city. And fire came down from God out of heaven, and devoured them. And the devil, that deceived them, was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, and there was found no place for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were opened. And another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books, according to their works. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them. And they were judged every man according to their works. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire.
This angel who bound the devil, the dragon called Satan, and shut him up into the bottomless pit for 1,000 years, is the archangel, Michael, who defeated the devil in Revelation chapter 12. The language used here is symbolic. The chain is the circumstances which inhibit Satan from tempting and deceiving humans. This is because the righteous dead are resurrected and taken to heaven, and the righteous living are changed and caught up into the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, without experiencing death. The unrighteous dead remain in their graves, while the unrighteous living are destroyed by the Lord's appearance in chapter 19 of Revelation. The entire earth is empty and without any form of life. The binding of Satan prevents him from tempting and deceiving the masses. He is compelled to remain on the earth for 1,000 years, without any access to humans. All the people disappeared suddenly, the wicked are dead and the righteous are in heaven, leaving no one for the devil to tempt and deceive. Therefore the chain that binds Satan is a chain of circumstances. For example, we often say, "My hands are tied, so I cannot help you with this deal," meaning circumstances don't allow me to do as I would like. Satan's chain is the same thing. The Lord forced him to remain on the earth for 1,000 years, with no communication whatsoever with people. The events and conditions during the 1,000 years can be gathered from what the Bible teaches. The earth is in devastation and total darkness. There are absolutely no one on earth. Satan and his demons are bound, forced to remain on earth. Meanwhile the righteous redeemed souls participate in the judgment of the unrighteous souls. As stated earlier, that they were priests of God and of Christ and shall reign with him for 1,000 years. This is the first resurrection, and the people of God in this resurrection are immune to the second death. During the 1,000 years, the righteous will participate in the judgment that takes place in heaven, Revelation 20 verses 4-5. This trial is not for the righteous, because judgment for the righteous would have taken place before the second coming of Christ. It is necessary to note that this judgment is for the dead only, Revelation 20 verse 12. Since only the unrighteous are dead at this point in time, the judgment includes only the unrighteous. First, it gives the reasons why some people were denied access to heaven. Second, it determines the amount of punishment to be delivered to the lost souls, 1 Corinthians 6 verses 2-3. The unrighteous souls don't have to be present when they are judged during the 1,000 years. At the end of the 1,000 years, the righteous declared the judgment of God to be true and just. At the end of the 1,000 years, the devil shall be released out of his bondage and shall try to deceive the nations. He leads the world into trying to seize the holy city. When the city was attacked, fire from heaven destroys the attackers. The devil that deceived them was thrown into the lake of fire and brimstone, along with the beast and the false prophet. They shall be tormented day and night forever. The lake of fire is called the second death in Revelation chapter 20, verse 14. While all are resurrected from the first death, John 5 verses 28 and 29, Hebrews 9 verse 27, there is no resurrection from the second death. The great white throne judgment takes place at the end of the 1,000 years. It's the time when every person who has ever lived stand before the Lord, both wicked and righteous, Matthew 25 verses 31-46. It's the only time during Earth's history that all who ever lived will be alive for a brief moment. This judgment will convince the unrighteous, including Satan and his angels, that God's way was fair, just, loving, and kind.